Hello and welcome to Season of War. Tonight, I'm excited with some help to bring you another game of Age of Sigmar. This is round 4 from the Grand Clash GT, but we'll get into that in a minute. I am one of your commentators tonight, Jordan, joined tonight by Emma. Emma, how are you doing?
Fantastic. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Well, super excited to have you here. I know we've been talking about having you on for some commentary over the last little bit, so excited to make that happen. But just as we are jumping into things, so this is round 4, as I said earlier, from the Grand Clash GT. This tournament took place over in Shawinigan, Quebec, just outside of Trois-Rivières. And this is, again, round 4. Pretty surprising, but we're seeing the Blades of Khorne and Sylvaneth. This is on table 2, so all these players are undefeated at the moment. Max points, I believe, or very close to max points for both of these players, but all of the probably top 6 or 8 at this point. But yeah, not often you see these armies up in the top.
Definitely not a meta matchup for sure.
Yeah. But I guess a couple of quick announcements just to jump into things. Well, our players are just in deployment right now, so we'll go over lists in a moment. But do want to give a quick shout to our own GT coming up in a couple months. First weekend of August, we have the Season of War GT. You should either now or in the future be able to find a link to it or search it on Facebook. And you can. We're running out of tickets. I think we only have there's less than 20 tickets left for the GT, so we're excited. If you're interested in coming to that, definitely grab your tickets soon before they sell out. Also, hotel details and all that fun stuff is in the event on Facebook. So I guess we can, who knows, there's probably other things to talk about, but Emma, I'm excited. Do you want to jump into lists with me?
Absolutely.
Well, I know I think you said you were playing James before the Grand Clash with the Sylvaneth.
I did have an opportunity to play against James's Sylvaneth list here,
Nice.
and
So
it was a very surprising amount of damage it could do. So
awesome.
he's
Well,
running
yeah, go ahead, take us through it.
he's running a Narut subfaction, which is the one that gives your characters reroll ones to hit if they're fully within 12 of any of your wizards. And speaking of wizards, he's got his Tree Lord Ancient as his general. So he's got the Nurtured by Magic trait, which gives something a heal if it successfully casts a spell. And he's running the Vesperal Gem on it, which will
Nice.
give him an auto cast for
Yeah,
one of his spell lures.
great artifact.
He's also supported with Drycha with regrowth. And he's also got the Warsong Bomb, as some of us refer to it, of the Warsong
Yeah,
Revenant with that Chalice of Nectar, which will give him a 3d6 cast, and he can discard one of those dice. So he can take the highest of the 2d6, and he can sling out his War Scroll spell through the Umbral Spell Portal. So that'll give him an 18-inch range, and then anything within 9 inches of that spell portal, he'll be able to roll a number of dice equal to what he casted, and it'll
yep,
be 5 up as a mortal wound to every unit within 9 of that spell portal.
yeah. Definitely a great AoE bomb.
It'll be interesting to see how it works in this matchup. We've got some plenty of spell deny now in Khorne, so looking forward to that. He also has, to support all of this, 2 Spirits of Durthus. No artifacts or anything, just 2 Spirits of Durthus. Which,
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, obviously we're on table 4 at the event right now, so this James has been doing well at this event so far. But it's as a Sylvaneth player, it's like it's definitely nerve wracking. But Gnarl Root does help. Will help some with the reliability. But Naked Spirit of Durthus is not known for the reliability.
no, for sure, their damage can be pretty swingy, but he does have some survivability in there where he's got the Tree Lord Ancient giving them +1 to save, and as well as the Spite Swarm Hive, so we can either buff up their movement and charge rolls, or we can add another +1 to their save characteristics.
Nice.
And then
Awesome.
to round out his list, he's got the cogs for an extra spell cast, so he can sling out 3 spells a turn with his Warsong Revenant. And his battle line, he's got 1 unit of Spite Revenants, which is a nice minimum 70 points, and then 2 Tree Revenants, so he can teleport them around the board.
Yeah, great for that mobility and yeah, bouncing around and being able to cause a nuisance and make people worry about your back lines. So hopefully he'll be able to put those to good use. But sorry, just kind of doing some tech stuff, making sure levels are good for everybody as we go. So hopefully you'll be able to hear us at somewhat equal level now in volume. Both Emma turned you up some more and turned myself down. So hopefully we are better for the audio. So appreciate your guys' feedback and patience in the chat. And with that, I do want to say a big thank you to everyone who is joining us tonight in the chat. Awesome to have you guys along. Anyone that's able to join us or watch it back in the future, we always appreciate the support and you giving us your eyeballs and hanging out with us and just enjoying our content. So super excited to have you guys here. Yeah, Bridge is in the chat, wants me turned down even more. So, but I would love to hear it. Yeah, if levels are good now, definitely keep giving us feedback. But yeah, Emma, I don't know how well you know Blades of Khorne. I've only dabbled, but are you up for taking us through the Blades of Khorne list as well?
Sure. We've got a Reapers of Vengeance. I don't know if there's any other sub-faction in that book, but Reapers of Vengeance is certainly the
Yeah.
go-to here. And we've got not 1, not 2, but 3 total Bloodthirsters here. We've got the Bloodthirster of Incensant Rage, which is kind of known as the Boomthirster. So his 6s to wound will do mortal wounds to everything within
Nice.
8.
Yep.
He's got the Unfettered Fury, which is an absolute fantastic one if you're on multiple Bloodthirsters, because he's got a command ability that everything wholly within 16 can pile in 6 inches in the combat phase and is eligible to fight if it's within 6 instead of 3. So he doesn't even need to charge his Bloodthirsters. He could just run them up, pop that command ability, and as long as he's within 6 of you, he can pile in and start attacking. And then he's got my favorite, Scarbrand, one of the most underrated of all of them. Scarbrand is just absolutely amazing. For those who haven't played with him, he gets angrier the more damage he takes.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of degrading and getting weaker, he gets even stronger. And if he hasn't fought in at least one of the combat phases of the prior battle round, then he always fights at his lowest profile. So he is the strongest. And that's for the whole battle round.
Oh,
So
nice.
turn 1 here, he's probably not going to swing here, which means the whole second battle round, both combat phases, he'll be swinging at his best profile, which will be 9 attacks with damage 3 and Ren 2, and his other attack that just does a flat 8 mortal wounds, and if he rolls a 6, 16 mortal wounds.
Yep. And notable with Reapers of Vengeance, he's able to fight twice. I think it's any of the Khorne demons.
That is correct. So
Yeah.
he'll be able to just run his Scarbrand up, pile in 6 inches, and fight twice with him. And he's got
Nice.
that Blood Secretor in his list that can give him a +1 attack, I believe, is the Blood Secretor. So
Yep.
he can
Yep.
get a lot of damage output.
Oh,
He's
for sure.
also rounded out his heroes with a Slaughter Priest, who has the Blood Sacrifice Prayer to give him more blood type points. And then he's got a coalitioned Khorne Demon Prince, which is the have run in charge if you're within 18 command ability. And then the rest of his list, he's got Fleshhounds and 2 units of Blood Reavers for his minimum battle line
Mm-hmm.
requirements. And he's got a unit of Wrathmongers. You can see them at the top middle of the table. And then he's got 2 units of Allied Furies in here, which are real cheap. They're 95 points, but they move 12 inches. They can retreat in the combat phase as well. So you can move them 12 inches, charge into something, and then select them with them to fight, and instead just retreat them 12 inches, and they become really great objective grabbers. And it'd be a real nuisance, especially since James has got his 5 Tree Revenants to score objectives with that he can kind of sneak around. Furies are units of 6. So those Furies are just going to be able to outcap his units of Tree Revenants.
Yeah, that is actually very interesting. So
And
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like James has put his Warsong Revenant really far back. You could see it in the bottom right, and I'm not sure if he's just trying to avoid the unbinds, because with the command trait on the Blood Secrator, he's able to, if he rolls an 8 to unbind, it just automatically unbinds a spell. So I'm not sure if he's just trying to avoid the unbinds with his Warsong Revenant, because he's not going to be able to have much impact if he's that far back.
Yeah, I know. With the spell portal new rules, though, um, I assume he's just trying to keep the Warsong Revenant safe. But the Tree Lord who has the I guess the Vestral Gem doesn't help with spell portal, but he can cast the one piece of spell portal 18 inches forward and the other one potentially 18 inches backwards. So you're actually getting more than 18 inches of range out of spell portal. So I don't know if that's potentially part of his strategy in just trying to keep that Arch Revenant absolutely as safe as possible, but
That could be. That could be very possible. We can see our Khorne player there is put his trio of Bloodthirsters all together, which makes for a very easy turn one ferocious advance. So since he's got 3 monsters, he can easily just get his extra point from having a monster and kind of avoid any combat and still score points.
and it does look like we are into Sylvaneth round one. We've just seen the Spite Swarm Hive cast. You can see it over on the bottom right objective. So great endless spell, obviously giving out pluses to move and charge for Sylvaneth units wholly within 8, or +1 to save. Sylvaneth being an army that's great at save stacking. Both those buffs are great, but situationally using whichever you can is awesome, or whichever is more beneficial at the time. Definitely a great endless spell for Sylvaneth.
Yeah, usually the safe stacking is great, but with Scarbrand and then the other Bloodthirster here, he's got a lot of mortal wounds that can just bypass armor.
This is
So
true.
Sylvaneth's weakness with this book is absolutely mortal wounds. Those Spirits of Dirthus and the Trailer Ancient, they have no mortal wound protection. The only thing in his list right now is that Warsong Revenant in the back that has just a 4-up ward save. So everything else in this list, if you just sneeze on them with mortal wounds, they'll start going down.
Yes. Yeah, it's always been a bane of Sylvaneth's existence. Um, we've seen, it looks like a new Wildwood summoned here up on the top right objective. Obviously, the Wildwoods are made for Sylvaneth being able to teleport and dance between them. With the Tree Lords, it's normally one unit for Sylvaneth gets to teleport between Wildwoods. With the Tree Lords and Dirthu, they actually get to do that in addition to any other units. So James is potentially to be able to bounce 4 units, including the 3 big trees, between Wildwoods throughout this game. So lots of potential mortal or potential movement shenanigans on the Sylvaneth side.
Right, Sylvaneth have so much, teleporting shenanigans between the trees and the tree revenants that can go anywhere. And you can see that our Khorne player here, I actually don't know his name. I'm sorry. Hopefully, I'll be able to find out his name for everyone.
So it is our Khorne player is Kevin. You'll
Kevin.
see his name is up on the chat. It's Kevin Lemieux Gagnon. He's a Quebec local or somewhere. He was a Quebec guy, so I apologize if I did not pronounce your last name correct, Kevin. But I did meet him at the event, and he again did super well with Khorne, which was amazing to see. So
I really like his deployment. As I noted with the monsters, all in position for the ferocious advance, but he's also left a unit of Blood Reavers in the top left corner to kind of screen out any tree revenants from trying to teleport in the back and try to slowly kind of creep onto his objective.
yeah.
So that way they're already in position, so you can advance forward, start threatening these other objectives while still screening off his back line. And he's got another unit of Blood Reavers on the right side that can run onto that objective.
Mm-hmm.
And as I know, the Furies that are that he's got 1 unit on each side there, so we can push them to either objective, and they'll easily outscore those tree revenants. So James will have kind of a tough time trying to keep up with that because he's got very low body count. He's only got the 3 units of 5 and then some monsters.
Yeah, yeah, a bunch of monsters, but yeah, it's definitely not a ton of bodies in the Sylvaneth list. We do see on the right side, actually, you can see Drycha is just to the right of that terrain piece between the two objectives, basically on the right side of the battlefield. You see Drycha just tucked behind that terrain piece. She actually ended up casting Mystic Shield on herself. And then we've just seen on the bottom left objective, the Tree Lord Ancient uses once per game ability to summon a tree onto that objective. So it's just automatic, but we can already see with the spell, the woods are creeping up, taking over the board already.
Oh, I love it. That's something that I hope carries into the new book.
Yeah.
That's what it really feels like Sylvaneth when you're starting to put trees everywhere on the table. And looks like our Tree Lord Ancient is using the command point he got from his heroic leadership to give out that +1 save to everything.
Yep, that's a great one. So it's Holy 12 of him. Yeah, +1 to save is just a great command ability. It is the nice thing. So James has no Kurnoth Hunters in this list, but one great thing about Kurnoth Hunters, a lot of Sylvaneth players will know, is they extend those bubbles or create new bubbles. So it is one great way. But here, as long as he's got the army huddled around that Tree Lord, he'll be that +1 to save again, and with the Spiteswarm Hive right there as well. That's potentially all that stuff has easy access to +2 to save right now. Not to mention Finest Hour and All Out Defense. Yeah, so not obviously just creeping into the action now, getting started, but do you have any predictions, Emma, for this one?
It's going to be a close one, I think. This one can go either way. This Khorne has plenty of ways to negate some of the damage output that James can put out on him. He's going to be having the charges from his Durthus using that Khorne Demon Prince. He's got the Blood Secretor, who's got the command. It's the artifact actually for, I think it's a 2 up to ignore spells. So he'll be able to negate that Warsong Bomb of mortal wounds. So it's really to how much can he protect these bloodthirsters from taking any mortal wounds from them. I think he'll be good on kind of avoiding some of these Durthus, but with the objectives being kind of where they are, he's going to be really careful with that Demon Prince where he puts it to really shut down the charges on these Durthus, which are getting +3 to their charges from that Spiteswarm Hive.
Yeah.
So it's really going to come down to who can find that opening first.
Yeah, for sure. And
see, it looks like James is measuring the distance here on these bloodthirsters to make sure that he wants to teleport that Durthu over to grab that objective with 5 bodies, but he's making sure that he's not going to get a bloodthirster that auto runs 6 inches and then gets the free 6-inch pile in.
Yeah, very scary. Again, it's like, especially being able to guarantee your charge length, and then the pile in 6 is so strong. I've played around with Khorne a little bit, and that's definitely one of my favorite pieces. And then coupled with obviously the Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince, who's notorious in AOS these days. It's the list has the potential to control the engagements, which is something Sylvaneth has always struggled with. Spiteswarm Hive here going off and being being used for movement helps, but I still don't know if it'll be enough to really get to dictate the matchups that James is going to want.
Yeah, we can see him trying to measure where he wants to put that Durthu, but 6 Furies just walk onto the objective. They don't have to engage Drycha, and they just score the objective.
Yep. And James, obviously a very practiced player, very experienced and knowledgeable player. So he's making sure he's as safe as he can be in all the decisions he's making. But very well thought out player.
Looks like he's going for the teleport on his Tree Lord Ancient
Yep.
and the Durthu.
Yep. So going to that top right objective, it looks like. So spreading out a little bit. But again, we know those Durthus and everything can relocate, again next turn. But it is interesting because he's left the Spiteswarm Hive behind, which is always a scary thing. There's the potential to unbind it on the Khorne turn and recast it, but he's not gonna, unless he's able to do that and recast it on his next turn. James isn't gonna have the benefit of those buffs for the save turn one, or potentially even the run and charge if he can't get that off again.
It looks like he's maybe trying to just get some of his limited shooting onto Scarbrand potentially and start chipping away at him, maybe.
That could be.
He's been very careful with his measurements, but I worry that he doesn't really have anything to really screen these monsters,
Mm-hmm.
and having to go at the top of one against a bunch of bloodthirsters.
Yeah, it's
He
scary.
gets double it's he could be done for quick.
And Kevin was not particularly low drop in this list. I think his list was 6 drops, but I think James was just no battle regiment in his list, so he was upwards of 10 or close to 10 drops. So definitely not have a choice very often, I'm sure, for him, but it can be impactful for sure. There was a question actually from Bruno in the chat just asking about the mission, so I'm just gonna pull it up. So the mission in this one is Tooth and Nail. So this is 4 objectives. It is normal, hold 1, hold 2, hold more storing. Notable differences of this mission is there's no reserves, so not super relevant in this matchup, though. I guess Sylvaneth has the option to deep strike, though. For the most part, they want everything on the board on the table at the start to get like the buffs from Spiteswarm Hive and do the casting and that. The other thing that notable is summoned units cannot shoot or charge the turn they arrive. That actually could affect either player. James does have a Branch Wraith, so he's potentially summoning Dryads, might at some point want to charge for, teleport and charge for an objective or something. And similarly, with the Blades of Khorne, if he, we see, Khorne want to summon Bloodthirsters late game sometimes if they're not using their Blood Tithe for other tricks. But that, not being able to charge the turn a Bloodthirster comes in really kind of, impacts what you want to, spend your Blood Tithe points on potentially.
And it looks like we saw shooting from the Durthu at our bottom left into those Blood Reavers that were standing next to that objective.
Nice, yeah. It looks like 8 damage coming out, killing, all but 2 of the Blood Reavers is a good start over there.
And the Tree Lord Ancient at our top right was able to shoot those Wrathmongers, which is a very good pick if he's able to start clearing some of those. The Wrathmongers can give all of those Khorne units extra attacks if they're nearby.
Yeah.
Being able to ramp up Scarbrand and the Bloodthirster even more attacks and any attack that you can chip away off their profile is going to be huge.
Yeah. And now does that stack with Scarbrand's Mortal Wound attack as well?
It does.
Okay.
So you can get Scarbrand +1 attack from that Bloodsecrator, then +1 attack from those Wrathmongers. So you can roll 3 dice, and if he doesn't fight this, this combat phase, that means every combat phase next battle round he'll be able to swing potentially 3 dice and do 24 mortal wounds guaranteed.
Yeah, no, that definitely is properly scary when you're able to stack attacks like that on him.
It looks like those Furies are being picked up, which is going to be big for James.
Yeah, it definitely helps. Like you said, he does have the 10 bodies on that objective, but making it hard for Khorne, having to potentially commit stuff they don't want to start taking objectives or fall behind in points.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in a case where you can't really get to chipping away at some of these bloodthirsters, just getting value and some of these other units that are going to be scoring objectives or even taking objectives off of you is big. Looks like you just picked up that last Fury, which is pretty massive. We don't typically look at Furies and go, "Oh, that's the most threatening unit in the entire Khorne list," but in a matchup like this, those Furies are very, very valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it's like we see James is chipping away a lot of the storing units, so on both sides. So yeah, definitely a good strategy. The game is won and lost on points, not necessarily strictly by killing stuff. So that is definitely gonna put Kevin in an interesting position what he wants to do for storing or moving stuff on his turn.
We're gonna have a proper monster mash soon. There's only gonna be monsters left.
Yeah, for sure. Um, just seeing a couple Khorne or Fleshhounds go down as well. Potentially, I think that was from Jaricha, who used all out attack. So getting some of her mortal wounds shooting out.
And that's, I think, is going to be the end of the shooting because we only have shooting on our four big monsters.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, no Kurnoth with bows, and obviously we don't have the new Sylvaneth units quite yet. I'm excited for those fast skirmishy archers, but maybe a little more points than I was hoping they would be.
Yeah, it seems to be the trend with our books, point increases, but we've seen some really great allegiance abilities coming out, so we'll see what they can do. It looks like those Blood Reavers in the bottom left have fled from Battle Shock. So James has been able to pick up a whole bunch of these little scoring units that are going to be a little bit of a nuisance, but at the same time, he's given Kevin quite a few blood type points to start his turn with.
Yeah, for sure. And so with that, James did score hold one, hold two, hold more on his turn for the 5 points plus his battle tactic. I'm not sure what if we were able to catch what the battle tactic was. Well, I think it was potentially ferocious ferocious advance with. I don't know if he did that with the revenants down at the bottom. Not 100% sure on that one, but he did complete his battle tactic, so 5 points at turn one. No surprise. Easily could have done aggressive expansion as well. Or monstrous takeover. Obviously, tons of options when you have that many monsters.
So we'll be going over to Khorne turn one. And he'll be starting with about 3 blood type points, and he's got the Khorne Prayer to get a 4th one as well. And he can spend those to either summon units, or he can even do things like having a hero phase move with one of his units.
Yeah.
It
And
looks like it looks like he did 3 mortal wounds to those flesh hounds. So
yeah, with blood sacrifice, yeah.
we get an extra blood type now, so that should be up to I think 5.
Nice. Yeah, that's a hefty amount. Obviously, that's already a hero phase fight. It's only like 8 points for a bloodthirster, 10?
8.
8, yeah. So turn one, nearly had another bloodthirster on the table.
He is definitely approaching many skulls for the skull throne.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I am. I have to admit, I know I asked you kind of what you thought or predictions for the game. I have to admit, I am pulling for James in this one as a huge Sylvaneth fan. Sylvaneth was actually the first army I started in Age of Sigmar. So would love to see, it was actually, great talking to James and seeing him do so well at the event. But here, one of the top tables, round 4, very impressive with an army that has largely been thought of as, underpowered. So it honestly even gave me a newfound respect for them, seeing what James could do with the army.
You're gonna put me in a tight spot there. I'm supposed to root for my American guy. You've got a Canadian on the other side there.
That's true. But we're all friends in Warhammer, so it's all good. But
And you can see, it looks like we've got those Furies moving, as I was talking about
yeah,
before. We've got 6 bodies outnumbering a Durthu, so 95 points of just Furies that are allied in, and he's able to just score points with them. That's
yeah,
they don't
definitely.
have to do damage.
Yeah. No, they don't, and with they have what's referred to as the old skink rule commonly of being able to, as we talked about earlier, pile away when they activate or move away when they activate. So if they're not fighting last from Durthu stomps or Tree Lord stomps, they potentially will be a big hassle even to track down in combat.
So this is a very aggressive move with a Scarbrand.
Yes.
He's looking to do here.
Going right into the center of the board with a bunch of those big Khorne heroes. So, I mean, it seems pretty on brand thematically. So, maybe they're just really playing into the lore here.
Well, I didn't strike them as narrative players, but you never know. You never want to assume.
Come on, I'm sure James plays a ton of narrative games.
His narrative is to win usually.
Yeah, I mean that's on brand. That's narrative.
I do like the positioning on this blood throne, or I'm not even sure what it's called.
The skull altar.
Skull altar. There.
Yeah.
I do love that positioning where it's positioned up aggressive enough that because it gives him a buff to his priest that's nearby, so that way his priest can play up more aggressively with it. You don't want to put it too far back in your own deployment zone because then you're not going to be able to get value with it throughout the game. So with that positioning, he's able to really push that priest forward.
Oh.
And here come the Wrathmongers.
Yeah, big move out of them. Tighting the objective, but obviously not to have enough bodies to take it. And worth noting also, the Demon Prince of Khorne did use the command ability for Blood Slick Round there, back in the hero phase. No surprise from anyone.
But I'm more surprised if he didn't.
Exactly. I think when you have the Khorne Demon Prince in your list, it's just assumed that you're going to use that nearly every turn. But we did see actually those Wrathmongers used at the double to auto run 6 inches, so that's why they were so speedy getting across the board.
It's very curious, this positioning. It looks like he's in great position if he gets a double turn here, but he's got so much sitting there in the middle of the table.
Yes.
That against double Durthu is gonna be rough.
Yeah, you're really looking like he obviously is playing and hoping for the turn here, but
it's really depending on that half charge. But it looks like James did get rid of the Spite Swarm Hive.
Nice. Yep.
Hero phase, so he'll be able to recast that.
Yeah.
That Durthu up there at the top.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but really, it does. I mean, it does look like a very aggressive play for Kevin, but with the having charge and how slow the Sylvaneth are, even especially those Wrathmongers, are kind of a little bit of a speed block that James would have to go around. It could be tough for James to get a couple guys into those, into his group of demons there. And with the potential pile in 6, if you're tagging one, you're pretty much tagging all 3.
You're tagging, yeah, all 3 of them there.
Yeah, so that's scary. And with having had to spread out to tag, those objectives turn 1, not having the heroes together and getting them all, if he does recast Spite Swarm Hive, not getting all of them in that buff aura is, a little unfortunate, I guess I would say, but yeah.
Does look like our Khorne player will get his ferocious advance with his monsters. So even though he only had 2 objectives, he'll still score 5 points this time.
Nice. Yeah, it's a great job. Obviously, the monsters for a couple more months being super impactful in that regard. I wonder if it's going to be running 3 battle lines in the future or something for those, or how they'll translate the new books is one of the things I'm excited with the forthcoming GHB in the next couple of months.
How many witch elves are you going to put on the table?
Oh gosh, not that many because I am slow at painting. I would love to put some more on, but we'll see. Working slowly on building out that army though, so thankfully Cass has been playing it more than I have, and she loves the stakes, so I'm okay. There's no pressure on me to pump out the witches right now.
And I've seen her win more on your channel than lose, so she's
Oh yeah,
the strongest player in seasonal war, the strongest army.
she might be. If she wanted to go to events, I would feel bad for everyone there because she's been pretty dominant on the channel. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But we have rolled priority, and it does look like Sylvaneth and James has one priority here. So we will be going into Sylvaneth turn 2. No reason. I think as we talked about, that Khorne has committed at this point. So James is not definitely not in a defensive position himself. So and having to take it here.
Yeah, that was huge because if Khorne won priority, he is in prime position to just scoop up all of James's threats there.
Yeah, which obviously he doesn't want to see.
Because, as I mentioned, Scarbrand, since he did not fight in one of the combat phases last turn, he is fighting at his angriest profile, which means he's automatically doing 8 mortal wounds at the minimum.
Yeah. Yeah, no, very scary. I mean, even scary, on the defense if you can't take him down before he gets to attack. But this is the scary thing. Even if he manages to get all the Durthus into something or whatnot, I don't know. I am so scared of the swinginess of those of Durthu. We'll see. We are in the hero phase for Sylvaneth right now. We have seen the Warsong Revenant cast Throne of Vines, I believe, on a 10. So he does have the 3d6 casting, choosing the highest 2. So Throne of Vines is going to give him continue to buff up his +2 to casting as long as he doesn't move. Not sure if he casts that turn 1 as well, but potentially could be up to +5 to cast now because the Warsong also gets +1 near the Wildwood, which he is. So the big next thing though is seeing a spell portal come out, hopefully. But again,
hopefully, I think that's going to be, if he can get the spell portal off here and throw that mortal wound bomb through, that's a very juicy target there right in the middle.
And I actually didn't realize it until just now, engaged in the game, but Kevin is in the chat tonight, so the Khorne player is here, actually giving updates as well on what he was thinking or what's going on. So calling out that he did do Finest Hour on Starbrand this turn, so trying to put some defenses up for all those demons, but yeah, it's big. Obviously, the big Rend 2 swords from Durthu. 6 damage could be spicy if it goes through. Maybe it was Rend 3. I don't remember. Rend 2 or 3. Probably Rend 2 because it's an older book. All the Rend 3s on.
The shooting will add up too from the 2 Durthus and a Tree Lord and Drycha.
It's true.
Which can really chip away at that Scarbrand. And
for sure.
Khorne doesn't have any bonuses to save. He can't cast Mystic Shields on things. He can't, save stack anything. He's relying on just Finest Hours and all defense.
Yeah, definitely not as resilient.
Looks like James is throwing down a tree here and doing a lot of measurements with his 9-inch stick. Looks like he wants to bring in a Durthu potentially.
Yeah.
And charge into this Bloodthirster because.
Yeah, and notable. So it looks like James is trying to get that tree as forward as possible. The big thing with Durthu is that the Spirits of Durthu will get +2 attacks if they are wholly 8 of a Wildwood. So going into Starbrand, they'd be on 3 attacks each. But if one of them gets into that Bloodthirster now, with the tree there, they're potentially getting those extra attacks. Okay, and big turn of events here. The Spiteswarm Hive was cast on an 8 by the Tree Lord Ancient, but Khorne, and I have never used this ability. Kevin used his Blood Tithe to auto unbind that spell. So that's a huge one. Not letting Sylvaneth get that +3 move and +3 charge. I don't think it's possible for him to get into combat nearly at this point.
No, it's not. Now that because he can only teleport outside at 9.
Yeah.
And with the halving charges, he's gonna have to move the old-fashioned way. But these guys only move 5 inches, and he doesn't have running charge.
Yeah, there's the potential that up at the top there that Durthu and Tree Lord Ancient might be able to get into Starbrand, or the Wrathmongers for sure are possible, but even getting to Starbrand would need a decent charge, or to tag the Wrathmongers and pile around.
I don't even know if I would want to go into Starbrand with the finest hour and fighting at his best profile.
Oh, that's for sure. I agree.
This might be a turn where we just see him kind of retreat off of that corner and try to teleport to the opposite side.
Yeah, just
play very cagey with it.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I don't think James was expecting that unbind. I can't say I've ever seen anyone use the unbind there, but that was a key unbind to use the Blood Tithe for. And obviously that takes all the Blood Tithe away from Kevin. In Khorne, it's whenever you use an ability or summon, they go back to 0. So that's a big hit to the Blood Tithe, but a critical moment with James winning the turn.
Definitely worth it to put James on the back foot.
Very heads up play.
James can still score his points. I don't know what battle tactic he went for this round, but he'll still be able to score his primary. You can retreat out those monsters on the top right and then just use a sacrificial Tree Revenant to teleport up there with 5 bodies, because they'll still maintain that objective.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how James tries to adapt, because you could see he spent a while setting up that wood and measuring out that charge.
It's really I can't get. I obviously don't know what James was thinking, but I can't say. I wouldn't guess that he was expecting that auto unbind, and that really hurts his plans.
He's probably thinking, new plan.
Yeah, exactly. Having to pivot on the fly, but obviously, as we said earlier, James is a knowledgeable and experienced player, so hopefully he can adapt. Worth noting, we did see the Drycha cast Mystic Shield on herself, I believe. So she's mystically shielded. Not sure if the Tree Lord Ancient used his command ability again, but I would assume so at this point.
Looks like he did. The information from our table boss.
We want to give a shout out to our table boss. Yeah. So we do have our buddy Josh Akins. You've heard him or heard us talk about him. He's been on the channel as well before. Local TO and good buddy of ours. So he's helping out doing some table bossing tonight. We're actually testing out a little bit of a different format, so it is a work in progress. Trying to test and prepare for doing some live coverage at events in the future. But so this is a little early test with some of that. So appreciate all your patience as we are working out some kinks here tonight.
I'm surprised James is really going for it here. He really wants that Bloodthirster. I don't know if he chose it for his battle tactic. I think there's room that even if he fails a battle tactic, there's room to make up the points. because he is playing Sylvaneth, and there is a Khorne Demon Prince on the table, which is a priority target. So he'll get an extra point if he kills that Demon Prince. So he'll get 2 points out of that Demon Prince.
Yep, this is true. And notably, if the Khorne Demon Prince is killed in the shooting phase, all those Tree Lords, they're free to charge. Obviously, 9 inches still, but that aura goes away with the Khorne Demon Prince when he's killed. So if Sylvaneth is able to take him down in the shooting phase, that would be pretty big. Again, it's still 9-inch charges, but
that's true. But James, I believe he is a member of that tough crowd, and they do love their YOLOs.
That's true.
And it looks like this Dirthu's coming up to try to get rid of these Furies on that objective bottom, which should be an easy scoop.
Yeah, you would think so.
You doubt the Dirthu already, huh?
Well, it's again.
I'm actually like, because the way he positioned it when he teleported his Tree Lord Ancient and his Dirthu, he put the Dirthu on the left side instead of the Tree Lord Ancient, so he can't get that reroll bubble onto the Dirthu that's all the way on the left. I think if he would have swapped them
Position,
around, he would have been able to extend
might have been
that
able to
reroll hits of 1.
Well, that's a good show. That would have been nice.
And we have a redeploy too off of that Drycha movement.
Yes.
That charge almost impossible now.
Yeah, that's got to be probably close. It was, I think, a 4-inch redeploy. Looks like on the dice, tucked in there with a bunch of other models, so might not have gotten the full movement, but it looks like it's at least at 11 or 12 now. So that's rough, especially when you don't have that +3. And we are into the shooting phase, though. It sounds like James is going to be starting with Drycha and using all-out attack with her. So, yeah, I'm fearful for Drycha at this point.
Is this movement phase over already? Like, I didn't see anything move to that top right objective, so I'm curious if he's not teleporting the tree remnants up there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it yet. At least we haven't seen anything teleport yet, so could still move the tree revs up, but if we are getting into shooting, yeah, it looks like we're seeing the dice rolled for, that looks like 20 dice for Drycha, so pulling out the 6s for mortal wounds. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not sure James is comfortable enough giving away that objective right now. But we did.
I think I would have still gone for it because Kevin's going to claim that objective now at the top of 2 here, which means those Wrathmongers will be freed up
move
to
off
start
of it.
advancing down with the Bloodthirsters. Because if you put up just a unit of the 5 Tree Revenants all the way up in that corner, just tagging that objective, it would have forced those Wrathmongers to commit to them to get the objective back.
Yeah. Pull them out of the way a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And it would have weakened that push. But allowing Wrathmongers to be freed up to support those Bloodthirsters and give them extra attacks is not ideal.
Yeah, so it looks like Drycha shot at the not the Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage, the other one. The Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury. That's the one. And so Drycha did 6 mortal wounds and 9 damage total. Tree Lord Ancient shot at the same Bloodthirster, and it sounds like that Bloodthirster is already down to just 1 wound left after the Tree Lord Ancient as well.
He must have perfectly calculated that to not give him any blood tithe points.
Yeah, must have. But we are seeing Dirthu, it looks like going to be shooting at the Furies. Probably not confident, again, like I'm not confident killing the Furies in combat, so Dirthu's got to shoot at him too.
It might just be that one in the bottom left, and he might not have ranged anything else. He does need to kill at least 2 of them here to get that objective back.
I wonder if that that Durthu on the bottom left is within the range of the. I'm not sure if that was what they were just measuring, but it looks like it. If so, of the Khorne Demon Prince, his aura for Blood Slick Ground. But looks like we are in charging, and that first Durthu did make it into the Furies.
He wants to clear them out. Blood for the Blood God and Splinters for the Tree God.
Yeah. If only we got cool stuff for that, but measuring up a Drycha charge here, that makes me nervous.
Always good practice to pre-measure before you see the charge roll. That's 100%.
Yeah.
You never want to roll a charge and then get into measuring.
Yeah. Agreed.
Always good to pre-measure your charges. Make sure your opponent and yourself are on the same page, and then roll them.
Yeah. Even with movement, I love pre-measuring even before I move something. Of just like being on the same page before movement, so of how long the charge is going to be after the movement, because then it's like obviously it's easy in the thick of things at a tournament when you're trying to move quickly, play quickly, and get your full game in. That there's not always it's hard to be perfectly precise in any game, but that's where pre-measuring it even before your own move really helps take any potential issues out of the way. But that's always just another way to make sure all your games go as smoothly as possible. Pre-measure all the time, every time.
Look, I guess he looks like he failed her charge with Drycha, which is going to be very unfortunate because she is in prime position to just get absolutely slaughtered.
Yeah, that is why, as I said, I was nervous for her. So yeah. Wonder. James is obviously not going to be too happy with that, not getting anything in, not really able to do a ton on his turn. We have seen Kevin here lift the Furies, so that one Durthu did manage to kill the Furies. We did see the Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury use his Crimson Crown, which is the artifact that lets him use his command ability for free. He has used that for the 6-inch pile-in aura. And it looks like they're just measuring to see it looks like Drycha's pretty close there. Might be within 6 inches.
Oh no. If that's the case, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
This is like making a Titanic look great comparison. If that Scarbrand is able to just pile in.
So it sounds like Starbrand, the players measured it and talked it, and Starbrand was too far, but the Bloodthirster himself was in range, so he is piling in now from 6 inches into Drycha. Oh, that's scary. Drycha does have Mystic Shield on her, though, and with the potential all-out defense, could be up down to a 1-up save.
Yeah, but this is the one where 6s to wound are doing 4 mortal wounds.
Okay, yes. This is the Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage, then. Ooh.
And there we've got it.
Yeah,
Drycha
so
has been lifted.
Drycha has been sent home. It sounds like we saw one boom go off, so 1/6 for mortal wounds, meaning everything within 8 inches is taking 4 mortal wounds on the Sylvaneth side, which looks like it might just be that Tree Lord. But that is definitely not the turn James is hoping for, I'm sure.
Yeah, that is an absolute brutal turn to lose your Drycha. Got no value from it. That looks like he's just going to score the 2 objectives.
Yeah, not sure what the battle tactic was this turn, so... Oh, they went for sounds like Conquer. Yeah, so Durthu would have secured Conquer. So it is 4 points here for Sylvaneth, so they'll be going up to 9 points. We will be momentarily going into the Blades of Khorne turn, but we got 2 more Blood Tithe, 2 units killed this round, or this turn for on the Sylvaneth turn. So two Blood Tithe for Kevin right now on Blades of Khorne. It's not too shabby.
And he's got real easy path to get into that Tree Lord Ancient and that Durthu there that are just sitting right in the middle.
Yeah.
Puts him out of position to score any objectives, but he doesn't need to. If he picks up them for free, those Wrathmongers already have that objective up there. So all you would need to do is find a way to contest one of the other 2 objectives, and he'll be in great shape. I don't think he has any path to really get down to that bottom right one, unless he decides to move that Bloodthirster to take James's kind of home objective there. He could auto-run that Scarbrand straight down the middle.
Yes.
And then give him a 6-inch pile-in to just go right into the Tree Lord, but that's risky if you auto-run him, and then you can get a redeploy, and you're no longer within 6 for the pile-in.
That's true, yeah. Almost want to move other stuff first and try and trigger the redeploy so you know where things are at, but definitely a game of movement, and I think the tricks and slightly faster movement of Khorne is definitely to their advantage right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you had the unit of Furies still alive, it would have been great because he could have then flown behind those Tree Lords and prevented them from redeploying away and used the Furies to deny that.
That's true. Yeah, but that Durthu and Tree Lord really feel like they're just being hung out to dry right now, with not having been able to charge, do anything. Just that's tough. That Khorne Demon Prince, there's a reason why he gives the extra VP for the Battle Scroll update. He's notoriously strong.
Looks like Blades of Khorne is going for Monstrous Takeover on the top right objective.
Interesting.
Very easy one to do, but it kind of removes one of those monsters.
Yeah.
So very interesting choice there.
You think almost the monsters would want to stick together, just strengthen numbers. Same tactic that James has been doing somewhat with his Tree Lords and Durthu, trying to stick them side by side. But I definitely am
concerned that he can't kill one of these other monsters for bring it down this turn reliably, because with the way the territories are, you can't do aggressive expansion easily because you would have to capture one of the bottom objectives here in order to do that. Spearhead could be a possibility if he runs things, but very, very curious decision to do Monstrous Takeover and remove one of his big key pieces.
Yeah, I can see bringing it down being risky because the Tree Lord and Durthu would have the +1 to save right now, and with something like if he chooses one of them for bring it down, they can use their finest hour for another +1 to save. So already at 2+2 to save, even before a roar. Potentially, if you fail a roar, that could be +3. So that can be scary. Yeah, Nick is asked in the chat about the Khorne Demon Prince, and his ability is getting changed in the new Slaves book that was leaked. There are a bunch of leaks floating around lately, and that is one ability that's changing, and I don't think people will be too sad to see it go unless you play Chaos.
I am a very avid Chaos player, and I am not sad to see it go. I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more variety and or not auto-including Khorne Demon Princes whatever we can.
Yes, exactly. Like, yeah, dragons. We don't want to see dragons in every order army. Though we don't see any in this Sylvaneth list today, so we're happy about that.
It's only a matter of time till we start seeing the crown spines everywhere.
Oh gosh, there was an RTT this weekend, around the corner from me. I wasn't playing, but I stopped by with my daughter, took her to her first Warhammer tournament. But of the 20 players, there were 10 incarnates on the tables. So it's happening. We have seen Bloodslick Round used again this turn from the Khorne Demon Prince. No surprise there.
Surprising, right?
Yeah.
No, I was shocked. Absolutely shocked, I say.
So yeah, again messing with movement. The ability to do that auto unbind again. I didn't even have that in my head with Khorne. I don't think I've ever seen a Khorne player use that before. So shout out to Kevin for being for that heads up play. But yeah, it's definitely gonna mess with Sylvaneth is going to struggle if Kevin keeps doing that, and they're not getting the +3 mover charge. Being able to teleport between the Wildwoods isn't going to help. With yeah,
there's a ton of great tricks that they can do to with those blood tithe. I was curious, if he had 2 blood tithe, he could have possibly prayed to get a third one, and then he would have had a free movement in his hero phase with his with one of his bloodthirsters, and that would have been able to get a bloodthirster around the back side of that tree lord and be able to pin it in so it can't redeploy. And he could have potentially crashed in with all of them.
So interesting here. It sounds like Kevin had originally wanted to send that bloodthirster that just moved over onto that objective for is it monstrous takeover for the battle tactic. But and he's actually confirmed this in the chat. He did forget that he had taken 9 damage on the bloodthirster, so he is bracketed on his movement, and he rolled the run and rolled a 1. So maybe a little bit of a risk there, not doing the auto run 6 with to guarantee that battle tactic. But yeah, that's tough. I wonder, he could have potentially gone backwards to his top left objective, but that's just pulling him further away from the action, which definitely is not where he wants to be. Wants to make that ability of his for the pile in 6 super relevant still.
That is absolutely huge. But you make a good point where he could have repositioned it and just gone back to his home objective to make sure he scores it.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's now deciding to take his bloodthirster to James's home objective, try to make up some points there.
Yeah, but right now it is a big aura on that bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury. So I could see, the position there. If he had been able to take the objective, he still would, potentially be in range of the lower bloodthirster of Insensate Rage, and be able to, give the pile in 6 to it. But
now here we get the measuring for Scarbrand.
Yep. We did see the redeploy from the Tree Lord Ancient going 2 inches down and further away from that Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage. Starbrand, just moving. Oh yeah,
he'll be wholly within 16 of his other Bloodthirster for that 6-inch pile-in. So I think we're about to see another tree picked up here.
We might, but they do have their unlike Drycha. I was gonna say they have their ground shaking stomps to make them fight last, but the pile in 6 gets around that. That's big. And one of the best tools that James has in his list with the multiple big trees is stomping anything that charges in. I know James earlier in the event played against Iron Jaws and was able to make Maw Crushers fight last and then kill them before they even had a chance to fight when they charged in. So Pile in 6 is so good. We see it in a few armies, and it definitely is impactful.
Here we see Demon Prince taking up his position right in the middle where he wants to be.
Yep.
Having charges into all of his key pieces. Great positioning on that. Moved out the Blood Secretor, provide the +1 attacks for his Scarbrand. Curious to see if he moves these Wrathmongers, repositions them over a little bit. Because it looks like he's not. He's going straight into his combat phase. So
Yeah.
kind of leaving a window open there for James to potentially sneak some Tree Revenants onto that objective in the top right.
Yeah, that's very true. But yeah, we saw it. So Starbrand has done his 6-inch pile in, and we'll see what he's going to do here. And that looks like...
There it is.
Yeah.
That looks like he just uses... so that is his attack that since he's didn't fight one of the combat phases in the prior battle round, he gets on a 1-up to do 8 mortal wounds, and since he's within range of his Blood Secretor, he gets to two of those attacks.
Yep.
So just roll 2 1-ups and 16 mortal wounds.
Yeah, that's, I mean, pretty reliable at that rate, right? So 16 mortal wounds into the Durthu. Obviously, no ward save for the Sylvaneth. Fingers crossed for the new book. But yeah, 1 Durthu down already to Starbrand.
And then even though this is bottom of 2, since Scarbrand did not fight on James's turn at the top of 2, that means the full 3rd battle round will be able to do that again.
Really? So it's if he didn't fight both turns in the previous battle round.
No, if he didn't fight in one of the combat phases in the prior battle round.
Okay, so oh wow, so he only loses that then if he fights both player turns. Very interesting.
Yeah, if he is on the battlefield and did not attack in at least one of the combat phases of the prior battle round. So even though he just fought this combat phase, since he didn't fight in the previous combat phase, this turn or this entire battle round,
I get
then
you.
He meets that criteria, so he'll be able to fight at that profile.
Yep, for sure. Wow. Okay, so we've seen, it looks like the Insensate Rage Bloodthirster just killed 5 Tree Revenants down on the bottom right objective. No explosions from the sounds of it, but he does take that objective, and which will give Kevin here hold 1, hold 2, hold more. He does fail his battle tactic though, but with the Durthu kill, he will get the point for killing a monster. As well, he would actually already have gotten a point for killing Drycha, so that is going to be 4 points for him though here, and that's going to put it to a tie game.
Yeah, and it'll be a very interesting priority roll as both of them are a bit out of position. I think James needs this one.
Yeah.
That Tree Lord just right in the middle there.
But with that, I mean, he's got a hope for like 6-inch charges if he's outside 3 with Durthu there into Starbrand. Because of the, Khorne Demon Prince's ability. Yeah, it's tough.
And we did get some information from our amazing table boss that Sylvaneth have won the roll-off.
Okay, so that's
huge.
Yeah. Definitely needed it there for James. So we are going into top of round 3 here in a moment.
Which will allow one of those objectives, either the bottom left or the top right, to be burnt by Kevin if he chooses to.
It's true, yeah. Always impactful in this GHB with Dur. Such a good ability, or such an impactful ability at times. And I wonder if that kind of thing is going to stick around in the new GHB. So many questions.
Many questions.
Yeah, because I know there was thought that the new GHB would take us to a new realm, but there was also talk that the from the Warhammer articles recently, there was a lot of, it sounded like suggesting that it was the battle line reclaiming Dur, so we might still be fighting in Dur this realm, or with this new GHB for the following year.
Well, hopefully next year we can put on our big hats and welcome in Chaos Dwarves properly.
I'd love to see. I mean, who knows what's going on with Malarian as well? It would be great to see some big, demonic dragon elves, whatever's going on with those messed up guys. But yeah,
We've been teased long enough.
I know.
But it looks like we've got James has decided to bring it down on one of these bloodthirsters who has responded with a finest hour.
Yep. So that's the Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury, which is at the top right objective. He's only got 5 wounds left on him. Yeah, I wonder if he's going to try and do it in shooting or what. Warsong has cast Throne of Vines again, so buffing his casting up even more. He cast that on a 16, so he must already be at +5 to cast this. I'll put him to +7. Yeah, and we haven't seen the spell portal come out for James. He's like, this is the prime time to get it, right? With all these
Or I think we might be on 4 blood tithe again.
Oh no. Oh
Because
no.
I think we were on 2 before,
Yeah.
and then with the Khorne prayer, it should have put him on 3. So it looks like he used it on the Blood Reavers at the top left, and now that that Dirthu's down, he should be on 4 blood tithe again.
And we did see even the Tree Revenants go down this past turn as well.
There we go. That's true.
So 5 for sure. Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be bad. That's a great point that I am not looking forward to happening now.
Here's the portal.
That's big. Portal's going down, but we'll see. I'm sure Kevin is aware that he has the blood tithe to be able to do that now.
Worse than getting a massive cast and having your opponent look at you and say, auto unbind.
Yep.
I've been on that side of it before.
Oh yeah, well, I've played with Techless a lot.
16.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you run Techless a lot, so yeah, those auto unbinds are huge. I rolled a 16 to cast at Depticon, and poor Caleb just looked at me and said auto unbind.
Yeah, he knows with Host Arcanum and Zinch has it as well.
And
oh,
looks like that might have happened here.
Yeah, sounds like we did see. So it sounds like the Warsong Revenant cast probably his War Scroll spell again for the AoE Mortal Wounds on a 19, but due to some noise again from nearby tables, not sure exactly what happened, but it does sound like assuming by not taking mortal wounds everywhere. Oh yeah, okay, so we're just seeing that now. Yeah, so the 12 rolled there with plus, this is round, should be plus, yeah, so +7 to cast, so he rolled 2 6s with this 3d6 casting for a 19, but must have been canceled, auto unbound there, so blood tithed on. Man, that would have been, so that could have done what? That would have done 6 mortal wounds to everything, on that side of the board.
Yeah, I mean the Blood Secretor would have had the 2 up to ignore it, but that would have potentially, with a good roll, could have popped that Demon Prince and potentially killed the Bloodthirster in one go.
Yeah, that's rough. Oh, this is shaping up to be a harder matchup than I thought it was going to be for Sylvaneth. Again, not having realized or even thought about the potential for the auto unbind, but Kevin obviously showing his experience here with Blades of Khorne, making heads up plays, casting or unbinding those key spells here.
And eating his Wheaties and his cornflakes.
Yeah. And again, Kevin's still in the chat, giving us even more great insights, letting us know that the bottom left objective was also burned here. So the one Durthu is standing on is not there anymore. So even if Durthu was to go into Starbrand or something, there's not even an objective over there to be fighting for.
Yep, and that makes sense to burn that one. Because James will still be able to teleport those tree evidence to the top and still get the hold 1, hold 2, hold more. But at least it gives Kevin one less objective to try to reclaim or fight back for. So now on Kevin's turn, all he has to do is worry about his own home objective, and then he's got the Wrathmongers up top that can help secure that top right objective, and the Demon Prince, who's an 8 wound model with 12-inch move, so he can fly up there pretty quick and get even more bodies on there.
Yeah, well, it is. James is already tagging it with Durthu that objective, so he will claim it, but he doesn't even have his home objective right now, so he won't be. And it looks like those tree revenants are teleporting away. Yeah, it looks like they're going to be threatening Kevin's home objective. But he's going to be hard pressed to get like anything more than hold 1 for the objectives this round.
That's a good point. It looks like he's completely abandoning that objective.
He could have potentially just. I'm going to guess he's outside of that Bloodthirster must be outside of 16 inches for the command ability for the autopilot in 6, but
he's using the Warsong Revenant, so that'll reset Throne of Vines casting.
I saw that, yeah. So Warsong Revenant has come up where we haven't seen him go back down yet, but looks like he's just tucking in behind his 2 big tree friends to be safe.
Would you have moved him out there, or would you have left in that Warsong Revenant? Because he does have a 4-up ward, and he could potentially charge into that Bloodthirster, and as long as Kevin doesn't spike his rolls, he could potentially tie him up and hold him up on Kevin's turn.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I wouldn't have charged the Warsong in. Yeah, it's tough. I don't know if just walking the tree revenants up to take that objective back would have been worthwhile, and just as long as that Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage is outside of the aura range or the potential range for the pile in 6 inches, that could have been an option. I don't know. Teleporting that though, obviously, yeah, losing the +6 to cast, not great, but I mean, Kevin's just had all the auto unbinds, so I don't know if he'll have it, for the following turns. Here it looks like we did. Yeah.
We do see his battle tactic achieved here with Bring It Down, and he does it with a monster, so he'll only hold the 1 point, but he'll get the extra point from the monster kill.
Yep. And yeah.
Does have his Tree Revenants very, very safe in that top left corner, which sets James up for next turn for his Savage Spearhead, so he's already in great position for his battle tactic. There's not really anything that's going to threaten him in that corner.
It's true. And yeah, so big seeing the shooting from the Tree Lord Ancient and Durthu take down the Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury. So pile in 6 isn't even a concern anymore. I wonder, he could have stayed in that bottom right objective with the Warsong, though. He is in a little defensive bubble here now.
Yeah, even if he just left the Warsong Revenant down there in that bottom objective and just cast Metamorphosis on himself, and then that would have given him the 5 bodies.
Well, and
that objective.
Yeah, I could have done it. I know James, we haven't even seen. I know he does have Spite Revenants in his list as well. Not sure if where they're at now on the table.
I think they died. I think that's what he piled.
Oh, those were that would have been the first unit that was killed last turn, right? So that would have been Spite Revenants, but yeah, I don't know. The Tree Revenants and Warsong could have held that objective down there, and even without the Warsong moving, I wonder, because, well, it would let Kevin send that Bloodthirster down there. It means that Bloodthirster's, potentially only killing the Revenants, and keeping him further away, bringing him further down into that corner, not letting him get into James's big trees, but it's tough. Interesting position here, though. Again, I was going to say earlier, having seen Khorne spread out here is favorable for James, to have Kevin open up that with his army, allowing. Here we haven't seen a charge yet from the Tree Lords, but it does let him kind of get into his targets a little easier now, without too much fear of getting smacked back right away. Especially now with the Bloodthirster and Unfettered Fury down, so maybe if James kind of a route back into this game here. So Storing's been close, and James did. Sounds like he has attempted his charges. But has failed both of the charges with the big trees. I'm not sure if probably just trying to go in and clean up those Wrathmongers. But he will still store, just hold 1. He did kill a monster though, so that's 2 points. Did his battle tactic to bring him to 4, and battle tactic with a monster for 5 points this round is actually a great turn of storing for James.
Yeah, 5 points for only holding 1 objective. That is a perfect turn for only having 1 objective. But Kevin's still in great position here because he doesn't even have to contest for that objective back because he'll have hold 1, hold 2, hold more. And he does have his Scarbrand there close enough to James's territory that he can just do Spearhead, have 2 monsters, and score 6 points.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, it's not such a good one. Obviously, we're seeing, we know the strength of the monsters in the meta right now. And it's continuing for a little bit longer at least.
A little bit, we'll see. I'm sure we won't see monsters go away since the Corals is the one that provides them with that they count as 5 bodies on an objective.
Yeah,
but
still good for storing.
The battle tactics change for sure. And it looks like Blades of Khorne is doing Spearhead, which would be a very easy 6-point turn for them.
Yeah, good call and prediction by you.
Sometimes you just you gotta start prepping for your next turns. It looks like I'm sure on James's turn he's gonna go for Spearhead with his units of True Evidence up top, unless there's a good opportunity for Slay the Warlord, because I believe it's that Blood Secretor that's right in the middle. That's his general, and he might have enough shooting to pick him off.
Yep. No, that's a good shout.
And James is going to need those extra monster points to bring this game back, because I think he is still going to be down.
Yeah, for sure. Well, for Kevin on his side, he's lost the Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury, but other than that, he's just lost, some Blood Reavers and a couple units of Furies, so not too much. The only real, significant casualty is the Unfettered Fury Bloodthirster.
Yeah, and he'll have to be really careful with that Demon Prince too, because that Demon Prince represents just 2 points, which could swing a game into a win.
Yep, that's very true. So here we're seeing the Unfettered Fury Bloodthirster move up on that right side, coming into that castle. We're close to it with the Tree Lord Ancient and Warsong Revenant right there next to him.
That is maximum aggression right there.
Yep.
Maybe we'll see the Wrathmongers move up and dive in, because Wrathmongers are very good in combat. And even bringing in this Demon Prince, you don't want to lose the Demon Prince, but at the same time, Demon Prince does fight the start combat phase and can trigger mortal wounds, which will chew through that high armor save.
For sure, and even just when you're throwing in multiple units, just your opponent can't deal with everything, right? So even if one's getting hit first, if something gets stomped, having other units in there just extra scary. So we're seeing a redeploy here from the Tree Lord Ancient. Looks like he's just actually moving up a little bit, trying to help protect that Warsong Revenant.
It's a curious redeploy. I don't know. I'm not sure if I would have redeployed him closer because he's still going to get it into the Revenant, even if he just rolls a 3-inch charge and piles in.
May actually force him though to be within 3 of the Tree Lord Ancient for the stomp to fight last. Maybe making it harder to avoid the Tree Lord Ancient, because that fight last could be impactful. We saw the Warsong Revenant, who's not the worst in combat, and the Tree Lord Ancient, who's could be okay in combat. He's a little swingy. But if we saw them both fight into the Bloodthirster first, we could see that Bloodthirster bracketed before he gets a chance to attack, if he does get, stomped. Or the ground shaking stomp off.
That could be it. I just kind of worry if he moves too far away. Like I feel like I'd rather have the unleash from a Durthu to be able to put some extra wounds on the Bloodthirster as well. Because those Bloodthirsters, we talk about the 6s to wound doing mortal wounds in an AoE, but that
Yep.
brackets. So if he takes wounds, that 4 mortal wounds becomes 3, becomes 2, becomes 1.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Oh, we see obviously all the Khorne, all the demons are closing in on the right side. The 3 heroes in Sylvaneth just bunkering down over there.
It's like Kevin was thinking for a moment about running his Blood Reavers away, but wisely keeps them forward a bit. Because if he runs them too far, he gives the opportunity for James to just teleport onto the objective, which is wide open now with this position. I think he should have just put the Blood Reavers right in the middle of that objective, which would have prevented any deploy onto.
Yeah, force him to like move and charge or teleport and charge.
Yeah, now he can just teleport those tree revenants right
Yeah,
off to the
to
objective
that backside.
roll charge.
That Blood Citrator who was in the center of the board or near the terrain piece earlier in the game, he's moved further right as well, obviously wanting to pass along his +1 attack buff. But it leaves that, the opposite side of that, his Heaven's home objective open to those tree revenants potentially. It's a good shout.
Yeah, I would have put that hero right in the middle and surrounded him with the Blood Reavers, so that way, if you're going to charge a unit of Tree Revenants in, you're going to pull both of them in combat. And Tree Revenants are not the most durable.
No, definitely not what they're known for.
But it looks like we're getting ready for a very decisive charge phase here.
Yeah, looks like starting with the Wrathmongers. Looks like big charge there. Oh yeah, very big charge. They're getting right into the center of that Sylvaneth castle, wrapping all around Durthu.
Yeah, that's a good one to charge first. Those Wrathmongers are 3 wounds each, and Durthu has a good unleash hell, and you want to deny him unleashing into that Bloodthirster. So, good to deny him unleash from Durthu. He can't unleash with the Tree Lord Ancient because he already redeployed with them. So,
Yep.
that Bloodthirster is going to be able to charge in there on his fill profile. But we'll see how big of a charge he gets with this Boomthirster, because those Wrathmongers, if you're wholly within 8 of them, you get +1 to your attacks. So we'll see if he's able to position them, maybe with some pile-ins, we'll get closer and get extra attack on that Bloodthirster.
Well, he does. So there is one Wrathmonger right above the Tree Lord Ancient, who's right in the center of that castle. So should pretty easily, from that guy at least, be able to be wholly within 8.
Looks like he might be able to charge here. And he's measuring. He's trying to stay outside of 3 inches from these big tree lords, so they can't stomp on him and make him fight last.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Obviously, that's what James was trying to do with his Tree Lord Ancient redeploys. Is limit where Kevin can get in there and wants those stomps off to protect the Warsong Revenant. But is the Warsong Revenant even the biggest threat right now? I guess he's Kevin's running out of blood tithe, right? So he's not going to have, if James wins the turn again, he's not going to have the auto unbind, available to him again.
Wait, I think the Durthu right now is probably the biggest threat because that Warsaw Grant did move, so his Thermavines is reset, so he's only on +1 to cast right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a very very close, exciting game.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I can't say enough how nice it is to see, two different armies on a top table like this. Again, got to give huge credit to Kevin and James, who both did, fantastic in getting, this far in the event. Round 4, both, undefeated at this point and on top tables is very, very impressive. And I can't, it's nice not to be commentating a Nurgle or Seraphon game. I do have to say that as well. We've had lots of those recently.
Who would play Nurgle anyway?
I know.
Oh, it looks like it's apparently the Branch Wraith that's back there.
Okay.
And Durthu is Stomp the Wrathmonger coming up. So be interesting to see, what our target priority is here. We do have if there's a Branch Wraith back there, I don't know if that would be the right target priority either, because James could summon 10 Dryads, but they have to be wholly within range of the Wildwood that's over there, and 9 from enemy models. So since he's surrounded by Khorne right now, James wouldn't even be able to summon 10 Dryads.
Yeah.
I think the biggest threat to him is probably that Durthu, who can.
If Durthu goes unchecked, he can, kill each of those units one by one. Over the next couple turns.
But if you guys are enjoying this game from the Grand Clash, there are still tickets available for the Season of Word GT, also in Canada, August 6th.
Yep. Coming up, I have printers whirring behind me, printing more terrain, trying to make, or not trying, but we will, again, have some beautiful tables out there. So excited to be putting all this together for our first ever GT. So, Emma, you're going to be there.
I will. I'm excited to come up there.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of us Americans coming up to.
Oh yeah, a bunch.
Knock some sensibility into you Canadians.
Yeah. Well, we always travel down to you guys, so it's been awesome having you guys be a bunch of guys, people from the States coming up to events. Obviously, James here at Grand Clash. We had a bunch out to Josh's event a couple months ago. The Grot Gang GT as well. We had an American invasion there, so it's been a lot of fun.
So it does look like James did get his stomps off. So the Bloodthirster and those Wrathmongers will be fighting last. So we'll have the Durthu able to swing into these the Wrathmongers and the Tree Lord able to swing into this Bloodthirster before Kevin gets the swing.
Yeah. I wonder if. Okay, so it looks like we are starting with Okay, so the big question here is Durthu's sword is 3 inches. What I was going to say is depending on activations, if he's not already within 3 inches, could he pile in the Tree Lord and the Warsaw Revenant and then just rotate Durthu's base to get within that 3 inches if he isn't already? But I guess, I'm not sure which one got the ground shake and stomp off on the Bloodthirster. But if it was Durthu, then he's already within that 3 inches.
That's a great point. And these Wrathmongers as well, they do mortal wounds potentially when they die, which can be rough for James. So does he want to put any attacks into the Wrathmongers? That's going to be a question that he'll have to answer for himself.
Yeah.
And because they are fighting on top of that wood, that Derthu is getting extra attacks.
Yep. So
And he's also rerolling ones because of that Tree Lord Ancient, and also because of the Warsaw
yeah,
are there from that Gnaw Root
yeah,
ability.
great ability. Again, reroll ones. Went from like in AOS 2, there was like such a poorly regarded ability, reroll ones, but now it's gone to the most valuable ability with being able to stack pluses to hit and all that much more easily.
Every reroll in 3rd edition is at a premium.
Oh yeah.
We do see 4 Wrathmongers being picked up as Derthu does do 12 wounds to them.
Okay, so it sounds like Derthu couldn't get into the Bloodthirster then.
So these Wrathmongers are going to have an opportunity here to do mortal wounds back. I think it's like a 2-up they do a mortal wound, and on a 6 it's D3.
Okay, so that's, I assume, just got to go into Derthu himself. Or probably a model within 1 or
within an inch.
Okay.
So they're probably talking it out right now.
Yeah. Seeing where they're going to put those attacks in or the damage in. Seems like this turn is definitely going to be a pivotal moment in this game. I feel like Khorne's been at the advantage, on the battlefield, and scoring wise, James has been scoring really well, regardless. But it's looking rough though. Okay, with the Wrath Monitor's going down. It's another unit. That's another Blood Tithe too.
Absolutely, and it looks like he does do 4 damage to that Derthu and 2 to the War Song from those Wrathmongers dying.
Nice. All right, so it looks like we see the War Song did 3 wounds to the Bloodthirster, or okay, had 3 attacks go through, but it sounds like the Bloodthirster made all his saves. I don't know if the Tree Lord Ancient has attacked yet, or if he just
still waiting for the Tree Lord, but
well,
I don't think I'm not putting much stock into the Tree Lord
no,
doing much damage here.
You never do. But
we might have seen a mistake though out of him not getting that Demon Prince into combat with the Derthu as well. Just relying on those Wrathmongers, because having the only unit going into them fighting last allows that Derthu to just fight at his top profile. Where if he put 2 units potentially into that Derthu, even if he stomped the Wrathmongers, he'd still have that Demon Prince that could fight before the Derthu and knock him down a bracket.
Yeah. And so we have seen the Bloodthirster pile in, so I guess the Tree Lord Ancient hasn't done much yet. The Bloodthirster, it sounds like, is going into, it's putting his attacks into the Tree Lord Ancient to try and take him down. So we'll see if he's able to do that.
Yeah, the Bloodthirster does have Ren 2, and I think he's D6 damage, but these Tree Lords are stacking their saves, so he's got that command ability for the +1 save to everything. He's constantly keeping active.
Yep. Okay, so it sounds like the Bloodthirster I'm not sure how much damage he has, but he hasn't taken down the Tree Lord Ancient. So Tree Lord Ancient still survives, not going down there, but that's going to be it for the combat. So actually, all the big pieces survived that round of combat there for both armies. Obviously, the Wrath Monitors went down, but that's it. And here, as you predicted, Blades of Khorne get hold 1, hold 2, hold more, because that bottom left one is burned, and their battle tactic of Savage Spearhead with monsters for 6 points this round.
That was risky if he piled in that Bloodthirster too far into that Durthu, and Durthu could have potentially killed him.
Yeah. And I think we just saw the priority roll go off again. And I think Sylvaneth, so Sylvaneth have won it again. So we are continuing, thankfully for James, continuing that order of Sylvaneth going at the top around, keeping the normal turn order here. Obviously, whenever you get given first, you always hope to just keep that turn order going. But this is into round 4, so scoring 6 points for Kevin means he's up 1 point right now. So it's gonna be 15-14 for the Blades of Khorne here.
And here we go. It looks like James's very first go-to is that 9-inch measuring stick. So those tree revenants that we see at the top left, they can teleport anywhere on the table 9 inches from enemy models. So because Kevin did leave that opening, James is already seeing it and going, I can put tree revenants there, can I?
Yeah. Oh. So 15-14 right now, top of round 4. Sylvaneth won the roll. So they are having choice. Yeah. Tough spot. This is the point of game where battle tactics, as we alluded to earlier, are getting harder and harder. But you do make a good point that, or did make the point earlier that with the tree revenants in that top left objective, James is already set up for an easy Savage Spearhead, and could still get that even if he teleports, onto the other side of Kevin's home objective there. Sounds like
probably gonna abandon his home objective completely because you do not want to move into that Scarbrand.
No.
You're already tied up with the Bloodthirster, so it'll be interesting to see if he decides to stay engaged with this Bloodthirster, or if he decides to move away from it. Because if he stays close there, then Scarbrand could move 8 inches and potentially have a good charge.
Yep.
But it's one of those things where Scarbrand, he's very scary in combat. He's like Gotrek that way, but he only moves 8 inches and he cannot fly. So you can see his tattered wings there. He was thrown by Khorne and hurled across the realms, and his wings are battered and ripped apart.
Yeah. Seeing this Scarbrand in action and doing all the mortal wounds really makes me want to get one myself. I have a bunch of Bloodthirsters, but I don't have a Scarbrand model, so I have to add that to the collection.
So I got one and I play with it in Legion of the First Prince.
Nice.
Even though he doesn't get any bonus attacks, it's still pretty simple to always make sure he's fighting at his angriest profile.
Yeah.
He gives you a punch. So looks like we do have a decision made on what our battle tactic will be, which is, what a surprise, drumroll here, Savage Spearhead.
Nice. You're just predicting the future. You're in the players' heads before they even know.
Sometimes we can work our magic, but it's just something where, battle tactics are like that menu of options, but you only have limited selections, and you always want to be preparing for them a turn ahead of time. So, James decided, his previous turn, he's going to move his tree revenant safely into the corner, and that way this turn he had that in his back pocket where he can Savage Spearhead. He did take some time to see if there were other battle tactics available. Like Slay Warlord is going to be a very juicy one for him if he can get it with a monster, but his monsters are pretty tied up right now. I think Durthu's free, but
the thing is
tied up.
So one thing I would love to see, and actually you made me think of this talking about retreating further away from Scarbrand, is if James could summon another Wildwood towards the top of that objective, the top right objective, with either the Warsaw or Tree Lord Ancient, if he can get another Wildwood, he could teleport both of his big monsters out of combat and out of threat of Scarbrand, and potentially get them into Kevin's territory for to complete it with monsters.
He could potentially. It's going to be a question of, does he want to go for that, or does he want to potentially make a play for this Khorne Demon Prince?
Yep.
But the other thing he's got to be careful of is that blood tithe count, because he did kill the Wrathmonger, so that's at least 1 blood tithe point there. And if he does go into this Demon Prince and kill it, he'll give Kevin that minimum of 2, which means that's a free movement that he can use on Scarbrand. And even though Scarbrand's only 8-inch movement, he can double move him to 16 inches.
Yeah, that's very true. I wonder, yeah, you almost like don't want to engage, and then you just, that's one advantage Sylvaneth has right now in this matchup. At this point, they don't have they haven't been getting Spite Swarm Hive off besides turn 1. So they don't have like the charging maneuverability and getting into combat, but they still are very maneuverable in terms of dancing around the board. So you could see, those Tree Lords again. I would love to see, they went top right, stored the battle tactic for an extra point, and if Starbrand comes towards the top, they can just teleport through the other wildwoods at the bottom there and just keep dancing back and forth.
Yeah, I'd be really tempted to get to go for this Demon Prince this turn if Durthu's free. Potentially get him down, and what he could do is I would throw out that Spite Swarm Hive and potentially the Cogs and try to position it on the other side of that Demon Prince to prevent him from redeploying. So that way he can move the Durthu up outside of 3, get his charge in, and then also keep those spells there. So that way, if he does try to move up the Scarbrand, he'll be blocked from charging in because there's endless spells in the way. So he does have a play to go for that Demon Prince.
It's true.
But how does he deal with this Bloodthirster? Because Scarbrand can go right up into that Tree Lord Ancient if he leaves that there.
And so it sounds like, okay, so the Warsong, we are into casting right now. The Warsong cast Regrowth on the Tree Lord Ancient and rolled the 6, healing him 6 wounds. That's huge on the Tree Lord, keeping him topped up. Obviously, dwindling pieces on both sides, but as Sylvaneth, how quickly, with mortal wounds they can go down. But and 2 Rend is solid as well, but save stacking helps with that.
Yeah, between the safe stacking and the healing, that's all he's got in his pocket right now. But if James still does have a lot of mortal wounds he's got to watch out for. Curious that he's measuring 9 from Scarbrand here.
Yeah, not sure if he's thinking of going down there.
Maybe the Branch Wraith is down there. Maybe it's not up top. Maybe it's the Branch Wraith must be down there and he's summoning the Dryads at the
Looks
bottom.
like it. Yep.
Which they can still move, right, in the next year phase? Or
they cannot move in the movement phase, no. They can teleport. I'd have to look at the wording. I know they used to, in AOS 2, be able to teleport the turn they would come in because of the wording. But I'm not sure if that has changed with the new wording about movements and normal move and all that. How there were changes there in AOS 3, so.
Oh, we couldn't charge him anyway because he teleported him in, and this is Tooth and Nail, right?
Yep.
Units can charge.
Yep. Yeah, they potentially could have teleported, but there's not really anywhere that they can teleport. There's no trees available there.
Is there not room that he could fit them onto that objective and get 6 bodies out there?
Doesn't look like it because of Starbrand. Yeah. Oh, who knows? But big questions are going to be what the big trees on the right side are going to do. Durthu, again, is out of combat right now, so he's free to go wherever he wants. Tree Lord Ancient and the Warsong are in combat with the Bloodthirster. Anything that happens, though, that... love to see the Bloodthirster be taken down too, or the Demon Prince, like you say, but either of them is going to keep anything close to Starbrand's range.
even though we can't get enough bodies onto that objective, it's still huge to even have that one dryad that's tippy toeing on that objective, because that means if Scarbrand leaves that objective,
Yep.
he's gonna lose it.
Yep. It
So it's
forces.
effectively forced him, yeah, as you were saying. Just we're getting to.
Oh, that's true.
And it looks like the Durthu will be making a play for that Demon Prince. He's moving just outside of 3 of them. So we'll see if he goes for the redeploy on the Demon Prince.
We'll see. So here, it sounds like there's some just talk right now about the summon on the Dryads. And I know this is, I was looking, pretty sure, I haven't looked at Sylvaneth too closely lately, but I know I believe they had to come down within an inch. Each model has to be within an inch of the Wildwood. And so it looks like the players have talked and are pulling those Dryads off. Because of where Starbrand was positioned, doesn't look like he was able to get all the models of the unit within one of that Wildwood. So that is a big difference. As you said, if he had been able to tag the objective, that would have been super helpful. But even having the branch with Witch down there as well, she could potentially do the same thing of just tiptoeing on the edge of the objective and forcing Starbrand to, go down and deal with her.
Yeah, it looks like I don't know if he's measuring to the other trees now, or if they're talking out and how they're discussing that. Looks like they're dropping a new tree instead.
Yeah, well, oh yeah, if he was not able to, wouldn't have been able to summon the Dryads.
So
I'm
it's like maybe instead of that summon, they're allowing him to break in a tree instead. Maybe a gentleman's agreement.
Yep.
Always good to show sportsmanship if your opponent intended to do something, you found out they were unable to do so. What would they have done instead?
Yep. Always great to see that, especially top tables at an event. Any tables, it's important to be a good sport, but always impressive when you see the tight games. People fighting for top spots at the tournament. It's always great to see the sportsmanship does not fall down, even in those cases.
Absolutely. Age of Sigmar is a growing community, but you do see a lot of familiar faces at events that you go to. So, at the end of the day, we're just trying to enjoy our hobby and put models we love on the table, roll some dice, and have a great weekend.
100%. Looks like we are potentially into movement now, and I think it's the Branch Wraith teleported to that Wildwood on the far left side, just outside of the objective. That objective is burned though, so not going to be claiming it or anything.
Oh, and he's going for a move here with the Tree Revenants instead of trying to teleport them right behind and onto the objective.
Oh, potentially just trying to go for the charges.
And a 4 on the redeploy.
Ooh, that's big. Going from a 3 to a 7-inch charge. Now the Tree Revenants do have a neat ability where they can re-roll 1 die per phase. It does help them, be a little more reliable with their charges. But definitely a big difference.
I didn't even know that rule.
Yeah, it's cool. It's every phase, so they can re-roll like a save roll, a hit or a wound roll. It's very neat. just never really, like you said, nobody really knows about it because Tree Revenants aren't good at anything really besides teleporting.
That's all you ever usually need them for.
Yeah, yeah, be great. I would love to see them, get some buffs with the new book, make them a little more of a unit that is a little more capable of actually doing things. Do love the Revenant models and love that they're fleshing out that part of the range, but the Tree Revenants leave something to be desired in combat.
Looks like we've moved on to the shooting phase, and I did see a wound allocated to that Bloodthirster. Don't know how many wounds, but it did look like a die was placed next to him.
So it sounds like the Warsong Revenant cast Arcane Bolt, and potentially was released. That might have been some of the damage coming out there.
That looks like that's where it was then.
All right, nice. Let's see how much damage these trees can do this turn.
Sylvaneth are not the only faction that is weak to mortal wounds. Khorne does not have any ward saves here.
It's true.
But anything that dies is just blood tithe for more potential either summonings or unbinds, as we've seen throughout this game.
So it looks like the Tree Lord Ancient shot at the. I'm not sure if that was
the Bloodsecrator, I think.
Yeah.
But no, he had to shoot into the Bloodthirster.
Yeah. So it would have had to be the Bloodthirster. Dealt no damage though. Durthu also shot at the Thirster and dealt 3 damage, so that's another 3. Could potentially be chipping him down. He's got to be on his last legs actually at this point.
I mean, just doing that's 3 damage from the Durthu shooting, and that's 3 damage from the Arcane Bolt is 6 wounds off that Bloodthirster, which does bracken him down. So you're reducing that mortal wound that he can do from outrageous carnage. And
the Warsong did 3 damage to him as well last turn. So he's probably on his, they're 12, 14 wounds, Bloodthirsters?
They're 14.
14. So he's probably only got 5 left by the sounds of it.
And we've got Durthu making the charge into the Demon Prince, which is huge because that's going to be a 2-point pickup if he can kill that.
Yes, it will. Very big. Obviously, I don't know how impactful the Battle Scrolls, updates have been in your turn or in your games, Emma. I found them to be quite impactful at times. Some games, it's hit or miss for sure, but there's definitely been a few games where it's made a big difference.
I found them to be kind of 50-50. Some of these updates, like long strikes, if you couldn't touch them before, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But in games like this, where we're seeing, it does make it a lot more impactful. Things like Gargants, for a lot of players who are struggling against Gargants, you're able to get into combat with them. If you kill them, extra points.
Yeah.
So I found them very hit or miss.
Yeah, it doesn't really benefit the weaker armies too much. It almost benefits most the mid-tier armies that aren't strong enough to have many of their own units on the battle scroll, but still strong enough to actually kill those units. So, seeing lots of dice rolling now for all kinds of stomps. Durthu stomped the Demon Prince for 3 mortal wounds. And then both the Bloodthirster and Demon Prince were ground-shaking stomped by the 2 big trees to fight last in the combat phase. And then the Tree Lord Ancient has roared at the Thirster and is going first using all-out attack with that Tree Lord.
That's interesting. Does the Demon Prince actually fight last, or does it cancel out with his fight first?
So it would be whichever one was last applied. I would believe. That is interesting. So at the Demon Prince starts at the fight or fights at the start of the combat phase. So at the start of the combat phase, that ability would trigger.
I just pulled up the rules because there is a section on strike first and strike last, and
Mhm.
they do cancel out one another. So I'm not sure if they're aware of that or not.
Yeah, I don't know, because there's other areas where I know there is times with things like Inchy Nuisance, which depending on, yeah, I don't know. It's I guess these do have both the same timing window, which is at the start of the phase. Thinking of the ground shaking stomp makes him fight last at the start of the combat phase. So
Yeah, it's if a unit is affected by strike last and strike first effects, then they cancel one another out. But we do see, regardless, Dorothy picking up the Demon Prince.
yeah, yeah. I don't think here it would have mattered too much though. Would have,
They
yeah,
were both strike fighting last anyway, so
yeah.
it wouldn't have changed anything.
Could have fought first with Durthu and then done the Tree Lord Ancient afterwards.
Just something for everyone to think about.
Yep. Yeah, that's a big turn though. So, well, here again, like you said, those tree revenants moving and not teleporting was big because James could have gotten that's 2 points lost not taking that objective because he could have got hold two and hold more. Here he'll get
He'll get his one objective.
yep.
He killed the monster. He killed the Demon Prince, so that's already 4. And his battle tactic for Spearhead should be at
6
6.
points. Yeah, you're right. So that'll be 6 points for Sylvaneth here, putting them up to 20.
So we'll be moving into the Blades of Khorne turn, but they should have. I've already lost count of the blood type points.
Yeah, what was it? We just
They don't
lost.
have 1 before, and they should at least have +2 now.
Yeah,
So
should be at at 3 if our math isn't absolutely atrocious.
but, and if we're not good at math, we're just Age of Sigmar players.
Yeah. We are in the bottom of round 4 now. It sounds like Blades of Khorne have gone for Slay the Warlord. Warlord here being the Tree Lord Ancient for Sylvaneth.
And I think that'll be an easy pickup, because
With Starbrand.
Completely abandoned that objective, so Scarbrand can feel free to leave it. And with at minimum 3 blood type, he has an extra movement, so he has about 60 inches of movement to work with in this phase. And no matter where that Tree Lord redeploys to, it won't really impact anything because it's you're making maybe instead of a 3-inch charge, having to roll a 4 or 5-inch charge because he can charge into that Warsong Revenant and then pile into the Tree Lord, even if he moves 6 inches away.
Yeah,
and if he kills him with Scarbrand, which he will automatically kill him with the amount of mortal wounds he'll do, that'll be an extra point. So potentially be looking at another 6-point turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. You really hurts that James didn't get that top left objective. But still, yeah, 5 points or 6 points. Sorry, is still a great turnout, great score here. Like we mentioned, James really did need a big turn on winning priority here. And taking down the Bloodthirster and the Demon Prince was exactly what what the doctor ordered, so to speak. That we have seen. Okay, so look, I think it's the Slaughter Priest in the top left. If I believe it's got a Slaughter Priest, so that's the Slaughter Priest off on the left side. Would have done Blood Boil and dealt 3 mortal wounds to the Tree Revenants, obviously killing 3. So limiting, or it's going to be killing some of the guys that James is hoping to use to capture objectives.
Yeah, that's gonna be big too, because that's he had 10 bodies there, and Kevin only had 7 Reavers and the hero there, which is a total of 9. So he's already now reduce the body count up there, so that way you can maintain objective, and even if James moves all of those revenants on.
Yeah.
And so here we see Scarbrand just doing a normal move, and the Tree Lord Ancient.
So they're measuring. Yeah, it looks like measuring up. I'm not sure if it's for the charge.
Well, it looks like the charge. James is probably taking a look to see what this charge is going to look like to determine if he wants to redeploy or not.
Mm-hmm.
But he's kind of in a bind there, where even if he rolls a 6, he's only increasing that charge by 2 because of the Warsong Revenants right behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like the Tree Lord has redeployed, but not getting much further away, as you said. Kind of boxed in there.
And then he'll be able to run that Bloodsecrator over to give Scarbrand that extra attack. And we're just looking at, guaranteed 16 mortal wounds, which will automatically get him his battle tactic, and if he gets Scarbrand in with the charge.
Yeah, and notably tagging that objective as well means that Branch Wraith won't be able to just teleport back on and take it back.
That's true. That is a pretty big move. The only thing he'll have to watch out for is then that Bloodsecrator is his Warlord. So if James wins priority, and he's been pretty good at those, he could potentially teleport his Durthu back onto his home objective and then pick up Slay Warlord with a monster.
Yeah, that would be big as well. Obviously, if we see the Starbrand, maybe he's just could split attacks, right?
Because I would split attacks here.
Yeah, you could put the mortal wounds into the Tree Lord.
Yep, because that's a guaranteed kill, and then you just put all of your 10 your other attacks into the Warsong Revenant.
Yeah,
actually scoop both.
Yeah, because James really wants the Warsong Revenant alive because it could throw down the Spiteswarm Hive. Give Durthu +3 to move and charge. Really, it's just a +3 to charge after a teleport, making it a 6. Slay the Warlord, with a monster would be a huge play. It looks like the Starbrand and the Tree Lord Ancient have roared at each other. Whose roar would you be more scared of?
In this scenario, I'd probably be more scared of that Tree Lord Ancient's roar, because the Tree Lord could stomp on Scarbrand, make him fight last, and then he can't all out defense, and you can potentially have your Tree Lord and Warsong Revenant.
It's true.
Connect to Scarbrand. But I'm sure you're asking lore-wise, Scarbrand.
Yeah, Starbrand is much scarier. But you, again, have predicted the future. Starbrand did get ground shaking stomped again. Or not again, but he got the ground shaking stomp off with the Tree Lord Ancient.
So Has James failed a single one of those?
No, mastering the 4-ups here. So
Canadian dice?
Not funny. Too soon.
My bad.
It's all good. But Starbrand is fighting last here. Man, James has got more of those stomps off in this game than I've gotten off all year with Sylvaneth. But Starbrand fighting last, is going to give the Tree Lord Ancient and Warsong a chance to go into him, but doesn't.
That Tree Lord Ancient could do quite a bit of work and potential, because Scarbrand already used Finest Hour back on turn 2, so with a roar, he's only sitting on a 4-up save.
So it's like rolling up the Tree Lord Ancient now. Tree Lord has gone for all-out attack, so perhaps Scarbrand didn't get his roar off, or maybe he roared the Warsong Revenant, knowing that he was going to do the mortal wounds to the Tree Lord. Could have been the play.
Could have been. I probably would have still been tempted to roar the Tree Lord, who's going to do more wounds, because you want Scarbrand to make sure he doesn't die. It doesn't matter if you put 13 wounds in the Scarbrand, he'll still live and put his full swings in.
Yeah.
But you just want to make sure that you don't die from fighting last.
For sure.
Because the Warsong only has I think he's 2 damage each with
Yep.
Rend 1.
Yep. A good number of attacks. So, sounds like so the Tree Lord Ancient, I think, has done 6 damage to Starbrand.
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good start. But Starbrand's, I assume at 14 then is like the other Bloodthirsters as well.
Yeah, I don't think he's taken any wounds. So he starts on 14.
So he's got Kevin's got his dice towards the top of the table there. The Warsong Revenant just fought as well and also did 6 damage to Starbrand. So Starbrand survives on 2 wounds.
2 wounds.
That is big.
That is massive. That is the biggest.
Yeah. So
I think we're about to see some trees get scooped here.
yeah, for sure it's going to be the Warsong Revenant, or sorry, the Tree Lord Ancient dying to the mortal wounds.
100%. Yeah, you don't mess around with that one. That's your battle tactic. You got a monster to do it with. You just put both of those mortal wounds and guarantee 16 into the Tree Lord.
Yeah.
It's just about does 10 attacks on 4s and 3s minus 2/3 damage chew through this Warsong Revenant that only has 7 wounds, but he does have a 4-up ward.
Yeah. That ward is super swingy, but it's effectively 14 wounds he's got to chew through.
50% of the time it works every time.
Yeah. So what's the damage on Starbrand's attacks?
He's at his angriest profile, he's got 9 swings with Rend 2, 3 damage each. And it looks like he has lifted both of them, which is huge. So that's actually gonna be a 7-point swing because he killed a monster too this round. So he's gonna have hold 1, hold 2, hold more. His battle tactic, which was Slay Warlord, he did it with a monster, which is a bonus point, and he killed a monster.
So 7 points. Big.
That does leave Scarbrand on 2 wounds left. But
yeah.
So we'll see how this shakes up. I still think the play that James is going to need is that Slay Warlord to get those monster points. You could potentially just shoot Scarbrand now with only 2 wounds left with the Durthu and potentially pick him up in the same turn.
Exactly. Be able to take them both out would be huge.
Who do you think's going to win this priority?
I'm feeling James. He's had the luck on his side. And again, channeling from my Sylvaneth, my brother in Forest.
We just saw the priority roll. A 4 for Khorne and a 4 for Sylvaneth. Sylvaneth does win the ties.
Nice.
Prior battle round.
Awesome. So round 5, top of the round. Looks like Sylvaneth is down 2 points, but tough to make those up right now. Again, not getting the hold more and whatnot.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting turn here, because if he can teleport that Durthu down and kill that Bloodsecrator and potentially shoot off Scarbrand, then he'll have both those objectives on that side and completely clear Khorne off on there, which will leave Kevin on just 1 objective in that top left, which could very well swing the game for James and seal it.
Yeah, this is what you want in a game, right? Tournament, top tables, final rounds. What is 2-point game at the top of round 5? Durthu has gone for finest hour.
This is what I want from every game. This is looking like a fun one. This one's going to come down to the wire.
Yep.
Durthu's got that finest hour, which is important because he doesn't have the Tree Lord anymore to give him +1 save, and he doesn't have any wizards there near him for Mystic Shields.
And the +1 to wound is good for both combat and shooting. Measuring again here at 9 inches from the Bloodsecrator. And assume that we're to see a teleporting Durthu. Branch Wraith.
You think he'll teleport the Bench Wraith too to give him the reroll 1s?
Oh, yeah. No reason not to, right?
This is the final turn, top of 5.
Yeah, as Mackenzie says in the chat, super tight game. So 2 lesser seen armies fighting it out in a close game. It's funny, like we're so used to seeing the Stormcasts, and I mean there were a lot of Seraphons towards the top tables in this event towards the end, but Stormcast, we expect lots, but you don't often see Sylvaneth versus Khorne on top tables these days.
That's true. It's very rare to even see Khorne these days, even on a table.
Yeah.
It looks like they're still trying to plan out this hero phase. When you're getting into your turn 5, this is it. This is where you gotta go for broke.
Yep.
And, oh, there it is, the huge play. He has spent his blood type points to move the blood trader, which he can do during James's turn. So that is preventing James from being able to teleport onto that objective now.
That is big. What a heads up play. Again, great, huge props to Kevin using it. Like, this is, the difference between, a good player and a great player, especially, Khorne with Blood Tithe. You see so many times they just go for the 8, summon Bloodthirsters and that, but here we've seen them used so effectively in pivotal moments, unbinding 2 key spells this game, and now moving to deny the teleport. I mean, he's still got chances at 9-inch charges, or 9-inch rerollable with Durthu, but that's a big difference between that being automatic or needing the reroll charge.
Oh, that's huge. It looks like James had gone for Matra's Takeover. So if he wants to go for Scarbrand for the kill on him in melee, he's gonna have to charge off of the objective right now.
Yeah, and that's Jordan from Warpfire Minis in the chat actually makes a good point of measuring out that 9 inches from the blood situator potentially tip James's plans, or give a heads up of what he was thinking to Kevin, allowing for that play. Obviously there is that back and forth at different points with things like redeploy in the game right now. That is very, very possible, or something to be conscious of and careful of getting that, or trying not to give away too much information to your opponents about what your plan is when they have the different opportunities to respond, either with again with redeploy, or here with Blades of Khorne with using their Blood Tithe in the opposing hero phase.
I'm not sure what he's measuring here.
Might be looking at charge distance. Yeah.
That's a brave one.
Well, looks like he's
cast anything with his branch wraith in the bottom corner.
Not sure. Might just have realized it wasn't relevant.
Because he could have potentially thrown up a metamorphosis on his branch wraith and brought her in for another 5 bodies for an objective.
Oh,
James is going to need to score big here, and he's also going to need to position to deny Kevin from scoring points.
Yeah.
So he might need to bring those tree revenants, that unit of 5, to that top right objective to say, even if you move Scarbrand on there, I still own it because I've got 5 bodies.
Yeah. Or it's like, do you teleport the branch wraith down towards that bottom right objective as well? You could even throw the tree revs down there, just giving you more chances to get bodies on that objective with charges. I mean, he's obviously hoping he's going to kill Starbrand in shooting, but we know that's not the most reliable.
it looks like he's just gone straight to his shooting, and he hasn't moved any of those 3 units. That's really surprising. Because he's not even getting the reroll ones from the branch wraith. Not sure if maybe fatigue setting in. And...
Could be. Well, this is at this point probably the final moments probably of the round. We cut out a bit of the deployment from the players, so they're probably very close to the end of the round. It was 2-hour 45 rounds, but that's not a lot of time. Okay, we're seeing a big charge here from Durthu, making the 9.
That's huge.
Yep.
What else would we expect?
Yeah.
From the legendary James O'Brien.
Yeah. Turns out rolling good helps, winning priorities helps. But obviously you got to put yourself in the position to make use of those too. So obviously, not to take anything away from James by any means, but big charge there for sure.
James is a great player.
100%.
He just has to watch out for the Scarbrand then, because Scarbrand does not degrade on his movement, so he's always 8-inch movement.
Interesting.
But I think since Scarbrand is free, he'll be able to just auto run to that top objective, and he'll have hold 1, hold 2, hold more. And Kevin's already has a lead right now, so it looks like he's just probably going to maintain that lead. And because James went for Monstrous Takeover instead of Slay Warlord, he's not going to get a bonus point this turn, so he's only looking at 5 points since he didn't kill Scarbrand.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunate to not hit the shooting, but I wonder, again, could those Tree Revenants have helped out in any regard? Teleporting, like you said, either to deny the objective or, whip them into combat to try and, finish Starbrand off. So yeah, like you said, that's going to be hold 1, hold 2, hold more for Sylvaneth, getting the battle tactic for 5 points.
Yeah, I think James is kind of in a rough spot because he didn't bring anything down. Like, even if he just teleported all 3 of those units to this bottom objective and made 1 charge in there, he could have then used that, like, even with a unit of 2 Tree Revenants, could have charged into that Bloodset Crater, and then once that's dead, he can still eligible to pile in and could pile in towards Scarbrand to form a screen to prevent Scarbrand from getting into Durthu easily. So, interesting choice that we didn't see anything move down there.
And not, again, this could be final moments of the tournament or this round, so might be restricted on what they're able to do, just trying to do the bare minimum to finish out the game.
Yeah, so it looks like Khorne just gonna auto move Scarbrand onto the objective. So hold 1, hold 2, hold more, and he just needs to do a battle tactic.
Now so it sounds like he's gone for Broken Ranks. I think might have been the only achievable one.
Yeah, it looks like Broken Ranks probably on that unit of 2 over there.
Yeah, and the Slaughter Priest went for the spell to kill them, but did not do the mortal wounds. So it looks like we saw the handshake. So we're gonna get hold 1, hold 2, hold more. Let's see. That should put us at what? Unless my math has been off at some point. 20, James scored 5, so James is at 25. And
did we miss a monster point somewhere?
I'm not sure at this point because we were definitely on 22.
That's interesting. We'll have to run it back. We'll have to do this again tomorrow night now, Jordan.
No, I don't know, because I've been keeping track of the score as we gone on paper as well, just to confirm. So this would get hold 1, hold 2, hold more. All right, well, that is interesting. So in the end here, according to the players, it is a 26-25 victory for the Blades of Khorne. So maybe could have missed something with the battle tactic. Maybe he did get the battle tactic. Regardless, the players have confirmed the score 26-25 final score before grand strategies. Both armies will store grand strategies, so it'll be 29-28 in the end. A 1-point game. Man, that could have gone either way at the end there.
Yeah, that was big, and I think James might have, he could have had the minor win there if he done Slay Warlord with Durthu.
Yeah, because he went for Monstrous Takeover. Yeah, Monstrous Takeover obviously being a little safer and not having to make the charge, but as soon as that redeploy happened, which James wouldn't have known until after he chose his battle tactic, yeah, that really forced his hand into having to kill that guy. Wow. Yeah, so big game. Wild finish there. We saw a battle tactic dropped, but 9 out of 10 between the two players completed. Man, I don't know. It's as much as you can hope for.
I mean, it looks like Khorne is clearly in good shape, so they do not need any sort of update at all. They're good on their battle tome.
Yeah, I think from this you could say the same of Sylvaneth, but I think we both know the reality is both these armies could use a little love. Obviously, Sylvaneth confirmed getting battle tactic, battle tome coming up in the near future. Hopefully, we see a new Khorne one coming up. Man, excuse me, that was a wild game. So I don't even know what to say at this point. Sorry, excuse me.
That was some great play on both players. You can tell they're both very, very familiar with their armies. They did their homework. Great play by Kevin, showing off what Khorne can do. They might have an old book. They might have had a white dwarf that some folks weren't quite happy with, but he still made it look like they were the top tier and should be playing at these top tables.
Yeah.
Performance.
Yeah, and again, I got it, like, it's hugely impressive, even just with the blood tithe usage. Nothing flashy, but key abilities used in key moments that really swung this game, without a doubt. Now the move here at the end didn't, he made the 9-inch charge, so that didn't end anything, but it could have. It was still a great play. Very, very heads up usage of the blood tithe. So yeah, great job to both Kevin and James. And this win for Kevin, actually, we'll see him going to playing on the top table. So we will have that game on Wednesday streamed. So around Wednesday evening, same time as this one, we're going to be streaming that game. Round 5 from the Grand Clash top tables. He is facing Lou, who was playing Idnet Deepkin as well. So, or as I was as well. So Lou up there, Ideth Deepkin against Blazed Khorne, round 5 top table. That's gonna be a good game. Hope to see you guys there. But I think otherwise, that's gonna be it for this match. Emma, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It was a pleasure doing the stream with you. Hope you had fun with us as well.
That was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Happy to have you. So thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat, watching this back in the future. We really appreciate your time and support. So thank you for all you guys do. If you want to help support the channel a little bit more, you can check out our premium membership for more battle reports and a bunch of other extra perks. So thank you all so much. We'll see you guys soon in another battle report.